Went down there,
Attention,
right around. I left the teddy bear somewhere on a bench.
Dad's teddy bear? Or
No,
your,
his.
oh, your teddy
I
bear.
don't know. It was mine because I remember crying like the dickens because I lost my teddy bear. And so the next day, I guess my mother went with me or somebody went with me
Who said the mother?
and asked about the teddy bear. I think it was said, I don't know if they found it and put it in the garbage or what. But that was my teddy bear story, not your father's.
That was yours? But there was another time when you ran down the street naked after something. Do
Yeah,
you
your
remember?
mother told us
Well,
the
I guess
story.
I just like to run around naked all the time.
Every chance he
I'm an
gets.
exhibitionist.
Every chance he gets.
But didn't you have a dog named Butch that bit you?
Dog? Who that was?
Oh, a dog bit me, yeah.
Wasn't your dog Butch?
His dog was Butch.
Oh, yeah,
Oh, was it
yeah.
your dog? Was
It
Well,
Butch
was
your
no,
the
I was on the
family
second.
dog.
I
I
was.
brought the mud into
It
the
was the
house.
I was up on the second story, like in a bathroom, and I kind of dropped a screen on Butch down below.
I thought it was a storm
And so when I
window.
came back to get the screen and I came into the living room, he came over and bit me.
Where did he bite you at?
Huh?
On the leg?
No, on the neck.
It was
Really?
a storm window, you told me, not a screen.
He was not a
No, a
sweet
screen.
dog.
I think it's screen. He said a
He
screen.
bit you on the neck.
I think it was
How
on the
big
neck.
of a dog was Butch? I thought
Was,
Butch
I thought it was a
dog.
tiny
No,
dog.
he was a big dog.
Was it a big
Butch was a
dog?
big dog?
It,
What kind
it
of
was
dog?
Butch.
What kind of dog was it?
A mutt.
Remember
Yeah,
Butch?
It was a mutt.
Remember Butch?
Hey, Si, what kind of dog was Butch? Do you remember?
He was. I understood he was part fox terrier.
Yeah, the tiny dog.
And so, oh, no, he wasn't.
Anyway, tiny dogs can bite too, you know.
That's true. That's
He
true.
was big.
And then now I never got the story right about why you fired Dad off the ice cream job. What happened there? Did he not show up
Oh,
one day?
I used to stop and watch baseball and stuff like that, and
And
I
not
wasn't
sell the
I
ice
wasn't
cream.
consistently out there selling ice cream as much as he
I
wanted.
fired him.
So were you slacking off a little bit?
Yes.
Well,
Were you enjoying life, Dad?
I was enjoying life.
And you were a
The apple
businessman and you
doesn't fall
fired
far
him.
from
No.
the tree.
No, but it's funny
Do
because
you remember that?
here's Si trying to make a buck selling ice cream, and I'm sure Dad's
Because
begging
his
him for a
brother
job,
in
and
on
he's
it.
like, "Okay, I'll let you have a job." And he gets out there and he turns the stuff over to him, and he's watching
I
baseball
watched a
games,
couple
talking to
baseball games on
girls,
my
having a
way to
good
work, yeah.
time, and
No, he's supposed to go out in prime time to sell ice cream.
like where was this at? Was it Beechhurst? You were
Yeah.
selling ice cream?
It was it was in Beechhurst, and your father probably stayed in Beechhurst. I used to drive over to Whitestone and then he had Beechhurst. But it was a nice, warm, sunny Saturday afternoon, and he had it was a tricycle. He had to pedal it. Mine was a motor scooter.
See, Dad, that's why.
So anyway, I'm out there peddling my ice cream, and then I must have come home or something, and I see your father coming back with his tricycle, with a big box in the front, and Saturday afternoon, prime time, and he's coming, putting the ice cream tricycle back in the garage, and he's going to go in the house and watch TV instead of selling ice cream at prime time.
Oh, Dad! I guess that wasn't your future. That job.
I wasn't big on chasing the dollar.
I guess
Have
not.
more.
I guess
No,
not.
I
But
was gonna.
but
do you
at
want me
least
to
you
take
had
that
fun.
off?
No, you shouldn't have put it in yours. Probably did.
Hey, Dad, was that
You
the
want
first job you got fired from?
Yeah, you can give me a
Elaine wants
taste.
some chocolate too. A little bit. I'm gonna try to be calm.
You having chocolate, Harry?
Yeah, you can give me
I don't
a.
know. I just
you
want
can give me a
little
glop.
bit, Si. Just a little bit.
We're in business.
I gotta give you a decent glop.
Okay.
Hey, Dad, this will make up for the ice cream that you didn't sell back in the day.
You should charge him for it.
He's collecting on it. Yeah, you owe me back pay. Let's see it.
Did he give me any?
1943
Yes, ma'am.
at
Sure did.
those rates. Okay, never mind. Now,
Have
hey,
an ice cream,
Uncle
honey.
Uncle Si, do you have memories of World War II?
Anymore.
I do.
Do you really? What do you remember of World War II?
Well, I remember the food rationing.
I'm using my
Oh.
eyes on one.
I remember gasoline
You had to
rationing.
get on.
Did you guys have a victory garden or no?
Oh, yeah, we had a victory garden, yeah.
We did.
Where were you living then? Was it Beechhurst?
Well, let's see, the war started while we were still in Whitestone. And we used to plant stuff. My mother used to plant fruit. She had a nice rhubarb garden in her yard in Whitestone.
We had.
But when we moved to Beechhurst, we had an empty lot next door to our house. And I had a victory garden there.
Did you
I
really?
don't remember if any of my brothers helped me, but
Did you guys own that lot, or did you guys just use the lot for?
Because it was vacant, right?
Neighbors
Sure
were,
Yeah.
neighbors were funny back then. They didn't mind.
Yeah.
My father did the same thing.
All
There
right.
was a neighbor next door to us who had property behind her house for a garage and just never built it. And he went over and he planted corn and cabbages and all kinds of things, and then he'd give her a part of it. Never said anything, never made an agreement, just started to use the land and gave him, and I guess it was similar with you, right? They didn't mind that he used it. I mean, it
Sounds
was
like
being
it.
used.
Now, do you remember like the radio shows? Do you remember the radio talking about the war? Do you remember the
I remember
the
the
newscast
radio.
coming on the radio
Yeah.
and telling you about it?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah.
What was the mentality in New York at that
I
time? Were
was
people
5.
scared that they was going to come here?
Yes.
I can't say that because even then, you realize how far Japan was from the US.
Yeah.
But-
Except that
but-
you know that
but
they
Germany
went to the
and
Aleutian
that's all.
Islands
We took
side.
preparations. My father was
They
a
went
block
to the
warden,
Aleutian Islands.
and we periodically would
Side.
have to turn on all the lights in the house.
The
And he
Japanese
would walk around
invaded
making
the
sure everybody
Aleutian
turned out the
Islands.
lights.
I know that.
Hey, do you know that their dad was a block warden?
Oh,
Yeah.
what?
He was a block warden. Wait, does that mean he had to blow the whistle to turn out the lights?
Yeah,
He was a block warden. I never knew that.
Is that what it was? Remember they had to turn the lights out, right?
Yeah.
As a chest in case there was
the
a in
black
case blackout everything.
Well,
Yeah,
when-
blackout.
When was he a block warden? Your dad. At what period of time was he a block warden?
World War II.
Would have been
'Cause
41,
so that-
42, I guess.
42,
is that-
43?
That's before he went to the Louis II. That's before he went to the paper company.
The paper? No, that's just a volunteer
No, it's a volunteer
thing.
thing.
Oh.
Like you, all those guys had regular jobs.
Yeah.
They just did that. They go through the neighborhood and they blow the whistle and they help
men
out.
who were not young enough to go.
Yeah,
and
he
serve
couldn't fight in the war, but they could be
were-
block wardens.
were
Yeah.
wardens. Yeah, I remember waiting online with my brother to buy butter, and the line would be around the block.
To buy butter.
Yeah. Because
And
there was very little of it, and then that's when they started that oleomargarine where you would get this white stuff, remember this? And there was a yellow bead in there, and you had to massage the package, and the dairy industry forced that. They wouldn't let the people making the margarine make it yellow, they had to make it white, and the people had to do it themselves, and so you'd have to massage the package like this
that's crazy.
until the capsule broke and the yellow color.
That is
all over.
hilarious.
Yeah, because, who wants white margarine?
Butter,
Look
you know.
yucky. You want to look like butter. So,
And you
like,
couldn't buy stockings, so women would draw their eyebrow pencil up their back of their legs.
Oh, to
so
give it the
looked
line?
like they were wearing hose,
Wow.
because the silk was used for parachutes.
Oh.
So the
I'm
hose
good,
was
thank you.
not available then.
That's funny.
A lot of the things that people, underwear, most women's undies were silk, and you couldn't get them anymore. So that's when nylon came along.
Oh yeah, as a way to because it was silk stockings before that, right?
Well,
What
silk
year
underwear.
was that?
In the 40s.
Oh, in the 40s.
That's funny. I always wonder what you remember because you would have been when the war started. You were only 5.
I was 5, but I remember when we moved. Where were we? We were in Hartsdale. It was 45.
But Cy would have been 10 when the war started.
But they used to have air raids.
Right.
In New York, they had air raids. And they would start the siren, and you had to seek shelter wherever you were.
Right.
And it was very scary. And
Wow.
my father used to say to me, I go, what's going on, Daddy? He's always a bee in there and they're trying to get it out. I still remember that because he was trying to make it so I wouldn't be scared.
Yeah, it's frightening.
We never had ice in the house. We had to go downtown to an ice house and get blocks of ice and put it in
Big
a
blocks.
container and bring it
Yeah,
home.
they used to come around with these.
You,
big
you,
chunks of
what year, you mean
ice.
during the war? You had an
Yes,
ice box?
Yes.
Well, it had nothing
We
to
had
do
an
with
ice
the
box.
war, that's the way it was.
That's what, oh, you didn't, so there
And
weren't,
you couldn't
We had
buy
ice
it.
boxes, not
They
refrigerators.
didn't have refrigerators available to after World War II, and
Well,
even
they must
then,
have had them before the war.
they were
maybe.
very
We
slow
had everything.
businesses.
they were probably expensive, they were the
Private homes
commercial ones,
couldn't
right?
afford
Yeah.
them. So you had ice boxes, and you could go somewhere for the day, but you had to be back in time to dump the pan that was
Yeah.
under the ice box. And I used to say to my mother, "Can we drill a hole in the floor and put a big barrel down in the basement under?" Oh no, she wouldn't do that. I thought that was a great idea. You
That
know?
is a great idea,
But-
except for the hole in the floor
Yeah,
thing.
well,
but-
it was.
right.
Well,
I
just
remember
with a
our
little
father
rubber
going to
tube.
buy the ice box.
Right.
He'd buy a 15-cent piece.
A 15-cent piece of ice?
Yeah, it was a block,
How long would it last you? Like a day?
probably several days.
Several
It was a
days.
block
If
of
they were
ice like
really-
that.
If you see the old ice boxes,
They
they
would-
are sealed. They have walls like this.
Oh, so it would, a block of ice would last a couple of days?
And they had different little compartments, you know.
How did you carry the ice home? Like, what did you, put it in a
In a car.
wagon?
And
Oh,
they
in a
would
car.
put it in burlap, and we always had ours delivered to the house. The Iceman
had
came
ours.
around
If
with
you're,
this big.
you're driving your
plant
car
and
down to a
we
place
had
where you're
ours
gonna pick up
delivered.
ice,
Oh, you pick it up and bring it
Chunks of
home.
Yeah.
We had ours
like the
delivered.
guy, I remember the guy, there's like a long block of ice.
Yeah,
you
yeah,
know,
yeah.
Four-sided.
Yep.
And he did.
And my father would say, I want a 15-cent piece, so the guy would take his
It's like
ice.
ordering salmon. Can
Yeah.
I get a
You
15-cent
could
piece of ice?
probably buy
Isn't
a
that funny?
10-cent
Like what you don't think
well,
of today.
Yeah.
there wasn't a lot of money around then.
No,
you
no,
know?
but it
That's why
makes sense because you're also buying something that would fit in your icebox.
Yes,
So it had to be the right
It had to be a
size, right?
certain size.
It's funny how you think back then, like now you think of new industries forming and putting out old industries like
Yeah.
cameras, businesses going out of
Yeah,
business,
yeah.
magazines going out of
Yeah.
business and stuff. Back then it was ice businesses going out. Or
Yeah, when the refrigerators were
came
I'm
out.
gonna put the ice cream
Yeah.
away, final,
Didn't they call them the Iceman?
but you know what I remember
Yeah,
about,
the truck. There
I
was
don't
an
know if you
ice man,
remember
a
this.
red man,
You were probably in
a
the
bread
car when
man, a
Dad
milk
went and got
man.
it.
That's
and the man.
The guy who
with
sold the
like,
ice in the
grinding
summer,
wheel that would
He
sharpen
sold
your
bags
knife.
of coal
Yeah.
in the winter.
That's something.
Oh, that's right, you had a coal furnace, didn't you?
Yeah, they were coal.
The
We had
heater,
coal.
the central heating was
In
coal.
the coal truck would pull up in Whitestone, and they'd go and they'd take the coal and they'd put it down a chute into the basement,
And that dust would
Oh, so you had coal
House.
chutes, that's how they
Coal
delivered.
chute,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
everything, whenever you got a delivery, my mother'd have to go clean the whole house because the dust would just settle, because it just came
Oh,
up
right, it would, right.
and settle on everything. And then if you go down in the basement, you walk it back up again.
That's
But
funny.
you must have needed ice in the
Huh?
winter time too, though, right? You must have to go in and get ice
Depending upon
all year,
how cold
all
it
year
was.
long. You probably had to get ice all year
That's
long,
right.
right? Because your house is
Yeah.
not the temperature of the outside, right?
Probably, I don't remember.
Yeah, it makes
what
sense, they would've
did.
gotten that.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? When you think of what you had to do, that was a way of life back then. And even then, I mean, you guys used to listen to the radio, like kids watched Netflix on a
that's why
smartphone.
those of us who grew up then, I know, I listen to a television show most of the time, I don't always watch it.
Because, yeah.
It's playing in my mind, and because I can see it, and like when I listen to a lot of audiobooks for the same reason.
We used to
I
listen to
can- I
radio.
can see in my mind, like I did as a child, listening to the Green Hornet and
Yeah,
Captain
Green
Midnight and Pippa McGee and Molly and Amos and Andy and
You're
Wow.
telling people.
Isn't that funny? That's,
yeah, remember those? My father, he loved Amos and Andy. There was two white
Amos and
guys.
Andy.
There was two white guys playing two black guys.
but, and then nowadays, that wouldn't be
You
politically
know, it
correct.
wouldn't be politically
But they
correct.
were very,
They
a
were
lot of them
funny.
are very good and
They
entertaining.
were funny.
Well, and you know what's funny is, You know how when you read a book, you contribute your own thoughts to it? And the radio has been the same way, because you would have to create a picture in your mind of what the radio was saying, rather
the
than,
best
right?
writer doing that ever is
Yeah,
John
that's true.
le Carre.
Who?
John le Carre, the one
He
who
wrote radio? He wrote radio?
all
Spy
those
novels
spy
and stuff,
novels,
He wrote
and
radio?
was a spy himself.
Were you saying he wrote radio?
No, he wrote the stories.
Oh,
and
yeah.
when he described a scene, you could see it. You could
You
see
could
what
see
the
it.
person was
Yeah,
wearing,
I see
how
what you're
they,
saying.
and when they did Smiley's People and Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, the original cast, the people he chose, they chose for the film fit the description that Le Carre did in the book. It was amazing.
Yeah, some people have a lot of
Alec
talent.